I guess. So we're just kind of getting that all going. And Dylan and I are here as the, what do we call Dylan, the hosts, as hosts or moderators? I don't know.
Kind of to help move things along a little bit for Mary-Jo, and she's got some things to tend to, so we can sit and chat with you for a couple minutes. And if anybody has, oh, she's back.
Hi. Always little things to remember when you're doing the digital thing.
Yeah.
Did I unplug the phone? Anyway, thanks you guys. Yeah, and Paul and Dylan are going to be with us for the next sessions that we do, and we'll talk more about that at the end. And thanks you guys for filling up the gap there. So if you're not on mute on your own particular device, it would be good if you could put yourself on mute as we start to gather in. And we're going to be looking at, again, the relevancy of mindfulness, especially for our group. And I was just saying before I dropped out for a minute there, that I'm taking a course at university, and the course is on resilience and social supports. But the amazing thing about the course is that just this last week, we got our whole module is around how to self-regulate. And mindfulness was the very first piece that came up, and there's all sorts of current research that's just really, really supportive and amazing around why mindfulness is so important. And this is coming from the world of academia. And anyway, this one article that I just read yesterday was on mindfulness and self-acceptance. And it makes me think about, you know, the depth of this abstract was looking at how self-acceptance is probably one of the most important things to mental health, and how it's really the difference between us being judgmental or us not being judgmental. And judgment brings us into self-evaluation, into all these self-critic, all those kind of things. And mindfulness is actually the one tool that they cite here as the best and the top coping mechanism to really switch that, so that we can bring more capacity to our brain and also our being in a moment-to-moment situation. So if we're uncomfortable right now, let's just take a moment and find a place that we can be comfortable. And I've said before that if you want to lay your head on your desk and put your hands under your forehead, kind of like this, it's okay to do that. You know, the big thing is to stay alert. And so if you are doing that, bringing one hand up like this and just holding it, if you're on the desk, so you have one on your forehead and one up like this hand will be your kind of barometer for not falling asleep, for those of you that might do that if you are laying down. The other thing is, of course, being comfortable. So that's the most important piece, really, is to find a place that's comfortable and yet where you can still maintain alertness. There is a lot of noise, and I'm wondering if, Barry, you could mute everybody else. And so when we look in the field of awareness, and this was kind of a funny thing that I read in this article, if you're not mindful, what are you? What's the opposite? Mindless. And in a way, it kind of describes what a lot of us kind of live our daily lives like, kind of mindless. We're in here somewhere and we're going about things in a very unconscious way. And it's the very consciousness or the act of bringing yourself into this present moment, which is actually the pivotal switch in the nervous system in the brain. There's of course, mindfulness comes from the Tibetan tradition of Buddhism. And one of the big pieces of that tradition is that is the realization that thoughts are real, but they're not true. So you can think about that. Thoughts are real. So I might be feeling this, but there's probably a story or something behind that thought. And that thought might not be true because there's many different ways that we can perceive things. So you can kind of think about that in the relationship of a picture. So a picture of a tree, it's real, but it's not the whole truth of that tree. It's not the seasons, it's not the movement, it's not the smell, it's not the texture, it's not the exchange and photosynthesis that tree's doing. Those are all the true things about the tree, but the picture is similar to our thought. It's a very limited, one-dimensional piece of information. So keep that in mind as we move into our practice today. And there's a scientist, John Audubon, who says, he puts it this way: if there's a difference between the bird and what the field guide says, believe the bird. So we're just going to take a few minutes to settle in and review our practice. And as I said earlier, one of the biggest pieces that even this Harvard study showed is that self-acceptance is the key piece that we really want to cultivate here. And acceptance is an interesting it's an interesting mechanism in our being, and we often seek approval from outside of ourselves, and then maybe try and make up for things in ourselves by doing what we think others want us to do. And that's one of the ways that we get into an autopilot kind of way of living. So so our job today is to look at our thoughts in a way that we can be okay with what they are and take compassion into our journey today, and leave behind self-judgment and self-critic and analytical kind of thinking, and just allow yourself to be not with the picture, but with the truth, with what's really going on right now, and coming back to the moment is the real truth. It's like, okay, I'm here now, I'm safe, I'm breathing, I'm feeling. So that's where we're going to be going today as we move into our practice. You're going to be able to maybe, as we move through the practice today, name the type of thought that's coming up. And this is also really important because by the way of naming it, as many theorists and even Sufis and mystics have said, we diffuse the energy of it. We diffuse the hold it has on it by just giving it a name and bringing it into consciousness. So I invite you to kind of play around with, naming the thoughts. It's sometimes good to, like, I know Delynn, she visualizes things, so maybe a visual is good. So it could be like a rain cloud, or it could be a tornado, or it could be a beautiful sunset, that thought. Those are one way that you could look at it. You could be doing a parameter screw kind of cruise of who you and how you feel right now, and what's your prevailing weather pattern right now. If you're in love, your prevailing weather pattern will be infatuation, and your thoughts are all going to be kind of moving in that direction. So maybe you've got a job interview, or maybe there's something really important happening in your life, and your thoughts are all going toward that, and maybe that's making you anxious. So just looking at the thought and then naming it, and then seeing, the various different ways that it takes your body or your sensory being, or where you start to create a story around it, and then come back to your anchor. So the anchor is always going to be your guide, and that anchor may be different for each of you, but ideally the most kind of basic one is our breath. And we use our breath to, first of all, tune into our present state awareness, and then we also use our breath to be the backdrop. So we may have our work that we're doing in our practice where we're observing our thoughts, and then the breath is in the backdrop back here, and maybe the sensations are back here, and we're doing the work up here, just really being attentive and being mindful about all those little things that are dropping in. Okay, so let's shake a little tension out of our arms, and then inhale and draw the shoulders up, right up to your ears, and then press the upper arm bones back, and exhale, relax the elbows down. And then do that again, and this time just tuck the chin and inhale, exhale, and down. And really feel that as you inhale up, Feel the breath allowing you to release tension as now you exhale, pressing the arm bones back and down. And then just take your right arm and bring it up behind your neck. And then just very gently lean a little bit away from your right side waist. And then take your left ear towards your left shoulder. Breathing. You can let out a sigh. And then come back. And then switch sides. Bring the elbow up. Let the elbow point toward the ceiling. You can slide the hand down the back a bit if that's comfortable. It's good to kind of look up toward the elbow and get a bit of a nice deep stretch in the sides. Breathing in and exhale, releasing down. And then let's just do a twist. Shrug the shoulders up. Take the upper arm bones back, releasing them down. And then bring your right arm across your waist. Grab the armrest of your wheelchair. And then just extend and lift into your spine. And then rotate toward your left shoulder. Breathing nice and full into your chest. And letting out a good breath. And twisting, inhale again. And releasing the shoulder blades down the back as you come back to center. Bringing your left arm up, crossing your lap. And you can I grab under my armrest so I can kind of pressure up on that arm. You can grab under your knee and then twist towards your right. Breathing in, full rich breath, feeling the aliveness of your breath. And then feeling the release of your exhale as you relax and come back to neutral. Good. And then settling in to your dignified seated position. You may find your hands resting just gently on your lap. And then just bring your left hand up and have a good look at your left hand. Notice your hand. Notice what you're thinking as you look at it. Notice if there's judgment about your hand or if there's curiosity, or if you can just take it all in. Feel the sensation inside your hand. Look at the different dimples and the different lines. Maybe bring a fascination of inquiry into, your hand, where it's been, what it's touched, what it knows. Maybe your nails need cutting like mine do. My mind goes there. There's all sorts of places that the mind will go as we look and observe. And just note them as you note your hand. And then relax that hand back down and rest it on your lap. And then close your eyes. And let's feel into the hands as you begin to bring your attention inward. Bring it to the insides of your hands. You may look at them on your lap if you want for a minute. And if you're one of those people that likes to do mindfulness with your eyes slightly open, then keep them focused there with a soft gaze. Otherwise, now close your eyes. And as you tune in, allow yourself to move to that inward realm of aliveness. And just take stock of all the things that are feeding into your awareness right now. Anything that's bubbling up, allowing it to just release and relax as you breathe. And now be conscious with your breath. So take a moment to really just tune into your own breathing. Allow yourself to relax with your breath. Relax with your breath. Feeling the breath perhaps as it moves through you, feeling the different sensations of an inhale to an exhale, softening the cheeks and the jaw, relaxing the outer corners of your eyes. feeling that gentle, accepting smile, beautiful half smile of non-judgment. Noticing the wave of the breath, and let it be in the foreground for a minute more. As you continue to feel the wave and the sensations of the breath, allow yourself to also notice any other feelings or waves of experience, motion, maybe sound in the background. And if there's one particular experience that's strong, when it starts calling your attention, just let go of your breath and observe, be open to that. What is it calling you? Is it distraction with your mind about maybe something you need to do? Is it pain in the body? Just notice it with loving kindness. And notice the thought also, perhaps, with that particular distraction. Is it a thought? What kind of thought? Opening to what's right here, right here. And then connected to your primary anchor of your breath, allowing the movement of the breath to be in your background. And just imagine you're like the little bird on the fence, just noticing all of the aliveness that's here right now in your changing flow of experience. Noticing where your attention goes. If the mind wanders in thought, just appreciating it as a moment of awakening, and notice that, oh, I wandered off, and then come back to continue to notice the next thought. And then this one. Feeling the wave of the breath in the background as your anchor. And like the poet Mu Han Wen, 10,000 flowers of spring, the moon in autumn, a cool breeze in summer, snow in winter. If your mind isn't clouded by unnecessary things, this moment is the best season of your life. And it's the only one, right here, right now. And sometimes it's good to have a visual of this. And so allowing yourself to either move into this or not, depending on your preference. If you were just relaxing in this deep, beautiful Bermuda Ocean, the azure water, just allowing you to be completely relaxed, the warmth and the flotation of it, and you just so happen to be on the bottom of the ocean. And here you are, just in this big, massive, expansive, unlimited ocean. And then way up there are your thoughts moving on the surface, sometimes wavy, sometimes a little kind of movement on the very top of the ocean with not much else. It turns the color of water to a sparkle. And all the thoughts keep moving up there, yet you're here deep in the depth of your being, just observing without any judgment or opinion about those various fluctuations way up there. The breath still anchoring you and relaxing you, reminding yourself that this is effortless. There's nothing to do except really just sink into the beauty of your being, the aliveness of this moment, and the spaciousness. And then slowly, if discomfort and various things arise, just allowing them to not take you away, but to allow your attention to be compassionate and present with even that. And then just resume for a moment your beautiful relaxed position. Perhaps you're now coming out of the ocean and you're going to lay on a big rock. You're like a big starfish, just relaxing onto that beautiful heat and breathing in with your breath into all 5 points of your starfish, your feet, your hands, your head, filling your whole body. And exhaling, relaxing your whole body. And as we come back, allow the calm steadiness of your practice to just really bring you back with that calmness and that steadiness as you open your eyes. And keeping in mind that that calm, steady place, it may be fleeting at first for you, which is normal. And you may not even arrive there. You know, you may still be in this kind of treadmill where the mouse is running around, bringing all sorts of new thoughts in. And that's normal. And often, you know, I don't know about this about you, but if I go to the gym or I start something new, I'm really pathetic at it for a while, and it's almost like I'm going backward in my progress before I go forward. And so I think that's really common in this as well. I think that's part of how humans learn and possibly how we build the resilience. So trust in that and don't be dismayed by that at all as you as you continue to practice, it'll get easier and easier. And that kind of spacious capacity of just being, okay and steady and calm and having more options will be available to you. So we have Delyn and Paul with us today, who are going to be with us for the next great couple months. I'm so happy about that. And we will have time. Bye. Is that Marnie? Okay. See you. If you
She's
have
just
to leave,
waving. She's just waving.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, if you have to leave, then feel free to go. But if you'd like to stay, we have a couple great questions that Delyn has thought of, and they're ones that I had to really think about how I'm going to answer. So hopefully these will help kind of expand our capacity for understanding and also for relevancy to this practice and ourselves in this cohort. So go ahead, Delyn.
Okay, so when you asked me about asking a couple questions, can you hear me okay? Because this mic thing is weird. Okay, so I was thinking about it last night and just things that were probably really pertinent. So since COVID kind of started dictating everything that goes on in our lives right now, like who we see, where we go, what we do, you feel kind of distanced and removed from things, kind of unsure about the future, what's going to be happening, where we're going to be in a few months from now. So I'm thinking, worrying more, like, is this our new normal, or are we going to be able to go back to the way things are? Start to get a little bit anxious, and it starts to feel a little bit overwhelming. So how can mindfulness help with that?
Okay, so there's a couple things in your question I'm going to unpack. First of all, I think it's really, along with the idea that that mindfulness is really, it's the big thing in life is recognizing that we have choice and that we have the capacity to choose moment to moment how we our attitude. Viktor Frankl was a great example of this. I mean, in the concentration camps, he's having to do heinous things. And the only way that he survived that was being in this place where he could be mindful and conscious of his connection to something greater and not, be in the incredible horror of what he had to do and see. And so that gave him, sanity. So choice is our way out of anything, really. And in languaging, I just wanted to kind of point out something, not to single you out, but I hear this and I've done this a lot. And the way it goes is this, when you when you feel anxious or something, and it's really important for us to start naming that for ourselves. So when I feel anxious, I wonder what Now, Delyn's using this because she's talking as an example for all of us. So it's not about you, Delyn, but in the future, as you move through naming your thoughts, naming your feelings, and bringing more empowerment into your life, you'll do well to name things by owning that, by saying, I feel ... And so I want to know what ... is, when I'm feeling this. And that will really help you shift the brain into this place where it's actually where the locus of control is here. So that's the big piece here, is the locus of control. And the locus of control, if you don't know that kind of languaging, is a term that they use in social sciences to really describe autonomy and self-efficacy. And a lot of us, when we aren't capable of being mindful and present, it's because our locus of control, we think, is out there. This is happening to me, this is done, and yet in here is where we need to bring that locus of control. So that would be the first piece to that question, is we need to remember that yes, COVID is going on out here, but World War II went on out there, global warming's going on out there, the whatever earth thing that's going to happen is prevailing, going on out there, and all of it is potentially very disconcerting for the nervous system and for ourselves. I'm not saying that it's not, But the fact of the matter is no matter how disconcerting or troubling it is, the only real power you have is your internal locus of control and your choice to how you view that. So then I'm going to now weave back to the article that I was quoting in the beginning, self-acceptance. So acceptance isn't just acceptance of self, but that's the big piece. But acceptance is acceptance of what is, because you cannot change it. Life itself is mutable, it's changeable, it's always going to be different. You may have a conversation with your daughter or wife or significant other, and maybe that's an argument, you know, in the morning, and you're going to feel that heaviness all day long or whatever. And, you know, later in the afternoon, that may, you know, that may taint your other conversations. But if you have that conversation and you recognize it and observe, wow, this was uncomfortable. Wow, I got upset. Wow, I need to just take some time and debrief. The locus of control is coming back in here. And so I think for COVID, as for anything, our real piece of efficacy and empowerment is to really remain in the place where we are responsible for how we feel, where we are responsible for the thoughts that were going on in our head, and where we use acceptance as a place of empowerment, because we can't argue with reality. Now, we can be really vigilant and be prepared for all those things that COVID is going to deliver, potentially, and that's wise. But if we get into the trajectory of being really anxious about it, that trajectory will lead into rigidity, and that leads into, you know, this whole train of, are these, you know, again, back to the beginning of my talk, is this real or is this not truth? And of course, you know, we don't know anything about COVID except that we need to be careful not to get it. So that's what I would leave that as.
That's a great answer, Mary-Jo. And just looking at time, I see that I had a couple more questions for you, but we'll probably leave them maybe for the next time. But there is a question. There's a question in the chat from Linda, and she'd like you to know that she enjoyed the dragon spice tea, but says that you also mentioned poetry, which she struggles with the poetry, and wonders if you could recommend any sources.
Oh, okay. Rumi, Hafiz, David White, Mary Oliver, John O'Donohue, to name a few. And then there's some back in, like, you know, the 16th, 17th century, which I find I'm kind of reading right now, because they were going through a very, very similar time in the Enlightenment period. And, you know, they went from chaos to, you know, kind of figuring their new way in the world, which is the world we live in now. So I like to go back and read, like, Whitman and Thoreau. Anyway, there's some ideas.
Those are awesome ideas. I wonder if that's something that maybe we could put in the email for the next session, if we'd be able to put those resources.
Yes, and I think Paul's going to talk a little bit about the future plans. And just on that note, very briefly, I am putting stuff into the descriptions of each week in the YouTube channel. So if you go to the YouTube channel, look up the week, and you go underneath, and there's a little arrow down like that, you can click on that in the description, and that will have all these links. Soon, might not be there just yet, but give me time and they'll be there. Over to you, Paul.
Awesome, thanks, Mary-Jo. Thanks, Dylan. Back to Dylan's question, I like the name it piece, and phrase I heard that stuck with me was "name it to tame it."
Oh, I love that.
Name
That's perfect.
It,
Let's have that as our tagline.
I was kind of staying on mute. I heard there was a lot of other noise going on when I wasn't on mute. I unplugged my headset. I don't know if that made it any better, but
no, you sounded great. Perfect. Yeah.
Hey
guys, name it to tame it.
Name it to tame it.
Tame the tiger. Remember, you don't want to be that poor tiger like Manui, you know, locked in that 12-foot box, even though she could, you know, be in this incredible space. So let's work with that and bring more liberation to our day-to-day living. So you can have that empowerment. And bless your hearts for being here and making your effort, and keep it up. go to the YouTube channel and, listen to them if it helps. And we'll see you not next week, because Paul's going to update us on what's happening, I think.
Yeah, we're switching to every 2 weeks. Is that correct? That was kind of the plan. So
yeah,
switch to the live session every 2 weeks, but providing people with an opportunity to jump onto the YouTube. And for the weeks that we're not live, look at the sessions that are on the YouTube channel, because those are all uploaded and people can go back and do those and work on those on their own if they so feel.
Yeah. And the only reason we're doing that is we had funding for this project up until actually the end of September, but we squeaked a little bit extra out of the budget. So that's why we have to do it every 2 weeks. So we appreciate that, that might be not perfect for you, but we're working on making it so that it is. That's also what we're doing. So.
And by going every 2 weeks, we're going to be able to go almost right up to the holiday season.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And in the background, we're also working on, trying to make this more of a regular thing that can continue on, not necessarily through a Zoom, but through some other sources such as a podcast. So we're just looking at some opportunities that way as well. So we'll keep everyone updated on what that's going to look like as we move forward in the months to come.
So
Great.
our
Well,
next session will be on the 21st.
21st of October. So
And
we'll see you. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you'd like to look in the chat before you leave, Mary-Jo, there's a few thank yous for you in there as well.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you, everybody. I really love doing this with you, and I'm proud of our group. I think, like I was saying earlier, I mean, mindfulness is so relevant that they have it in university courses now, and they're referencing it all over. And but I really feel that it's relevant for our group. I know I've said this before, but anyways, I think you're all amazing. You're already resilient, and now we're going to turn that resilience into more capacity for being, feeling better and not suffering, hopefully. So take good
Awesome.
care.
Thank you, Mary-Jo.
I'll make sure to post our sessions on our social media accounts, just so that everyone is aware of when the next sessions will be, and keep you updated about any news.
Super. That's awesome, Barry. Thanks so much for that. So yeah, keep in touch on Facebook. It's SCI&U. And otherwise, bless your heart. So you can always email me if you have questions, or put them in the YouTube channel. And I will see you October 21st in 2 weeks. Take good care.
Happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and thank you for joining us
Oh,
today.
yeah.
Thank you, Mary-Jo.
Yeah.
Yes, happy
Thanks,
Thanksgiving.
everybody. Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy
Use
Thanksgiving,
gratitude.
everyone.
Yeah.
All right.
Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
All right. Have a
Gratitude
Thank
is an
you.
attitude. Thank
Yeah.
you.
bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.